What's up? We're taking a look at Spyro Reignited the Trilogy, or as I'd like to call it, oh my fucking god, it's my childhood! Woo! And with that in mind, before we go into the breathtaking first level of Spyro the Dragon, my god, I'm back at being fucking 8 years old again. Let's do something that we wanted to do when we were 8, at least if you were me and you were watching Jane Silent Bob Strike Back at the time, and take a rip from my snoochie boochie bong. King shit right here. I could rip a bong and play a game at the same time. Yeah, I worship Grandma's Boy. If you don't know what that is, it's an awesome stoner comedy about gaming that was made back in 2006, so the gaming references are a little dated, but they're classic games. Just like this is a classic game, and to all those gamers out there who go, I don't like remakes, man, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself with a broken glass dildo with the shards are sticking out the side so it just tears your asshole apart. Go fuck yourself with that dildo. Because this remake is why remakes should fucking happen more often. When you have great games like this, there is absolutely every reason to go in and give it a visual overhaul. Gaming is the one medium of art where remakes are appropriate. I don't think that covers of music, for example, are that great. Sure, you have a couple of them that are fantastic, but there's generally no reason to go and cover, I don't know, a Beatles song. However, there is a reason to go and remake a game, even if you're making all the gameplay beats, everything about the gameplay is the same. The level design is the same. All they've done is given the art style a boost, and they've really kept it in tone with what you saw in the original Spyro games. While a lot of the new dragon designs are, in fact, as I just said, new, I really appreciate that they've kept them with the same style. You know, the Spyro game, to me, reminded me a great deal of the DreamWorks Interactive. Actually, I think it was a DreamWorks Interactive game. If it's not, then that just came to my mind for no fucking reason. But it reminded me of the DreamWorks films, especially Shrek and that kind of animation style. And I remember seeing Shrek in Monsters Incorporated back in 2001, 2002, I guess. And I thought, this is the epitome of animation. We're never going to see anything like this in gaming. It's just not possible. That's what my little childhood brain was telling me. And fucking here I am, kind of 2 decades later, almost there. And I'm playing a game that looks better than those two films. I mean, this might not look as good as Zootopia, but this easily looks as good as Shrek or Monsters Incorporated. And definitely better than the original Toy Story. I mean, granted, that was the first CGI animated film. But just the fact that we can now play a game that bitch slaps the original CGI films, that's fucking fantastic. I always thought Spyro would make a great cartoon. They should make like a great movie out of it. But then after playing this, I'm like, maybe we don't need CGI films as much anymore. I've been kind of thinking of that in general. Like, I was watching Big Hero 6 and Zootopia, and I love those films. And perhaps Zootopia needed to be in CG for the immense wealth of different designs they did. But I really miss hand-drawn animation. And what they're doing with a lot of those films like Big Hero 6 and Zootopia are making them look realistic, yet cartoony. But I love that this game just took it in a complete hand-drawn, watercolor-esque direction. And that's just really unique and something that I don't see in actual animation. So when I played this, and I played the Ratchet and Clank remake, which in of itself was a remake and also coming out alongside the Ratchet and Clank film, so it was kind of a video game film adaptation at the same time. Weird meta trifecta there. And I fucking love the film. A lot of people weren't enamored by it, I guess because they're just too used to the gameplay that goes along with it. I thought the film was fantastic and one of the best video game adaptations ever. Possibly, like, it stands for me alongside Final Fantasy VII Advent Children because they're made by the game creators. for the most part. They had like such a heavy involvement in Ratchet and Clank, and the game creators themselves made Advent Children. So when you go and you play a game like this, and admittedly it wasn't made by Insomniac, it was made by Games for Bobs, but holy fuck, these guys get the Insomniac design mentality, which is fun over everything else. And they just brought that to everything that they could, and I love that they were restrained enough and not arrogant enough to try to change anything. This really does sound a bit like a review, but that's the beauty of it. You don't have to actually write a review, you can just talk about a game, and you can give the information that people need in a review without being a judgmental prick. I mean, I used to do actual official reviews. Official, what the fuck does that mean? But I was recently watching Boomstick Gaming, specifically his review of Anthem, which I thought was a really good review, even though I disagreed with the score. You know, it's kind of why I think scores don't belong in reviews, period. But above all else, I really love his review style, and he's like a better version of what I was trying to be. So to think that that's where I could have gone, I'm just like, well, fuck that, because even if you do go to the level of not being overly judgmental, not being overly critical for the sake of, you know, just being a critic, you know, he really hits all those marks and does it in a way that tries to be what the Kotaku reviews are, but he does it without being an arrogant prick. Yet I just think that kind of review mindset isn't needed anymore. Like, when I sit down and play a game like this, it just epitomizes to me, along with Kingdom Hearts 3 and Metro Exodus and a bunch of other games that I'll probably do videos on, why games don't need traditional reviews anymore. Back in the day, I really saw the point of the score system. I really saw the point of all that jazz, because you would have games back in the Super Nintendo era, the Nintendo 64 era, the PlayStation 2 era, all the way up to probably midways through the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era, that needed reviews due to broken gameplay mechanics. Just plain old being a broken game, period. You know, it crashes and things that you just don't see a lot now. I mean, gamers complain about the bugs that are in games when they release now, but if you go back and you play some games from the PlayStation 1, PS2, and even further back, you'll realize that a lot of the bugs that we see now, are relevant. I just fell, damn it. But they're prevalent in those old games, and they never got fixed. Now we have games that are able to be fixed, that come out no more broken than games used to, and in fact, some of them release in far more polished perfection than you'll ever see in a lot of games, and yet they still are bitched about for other things. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, and that's really why I'm seeing that the reviews that used to be helpful to us have now become detrimental, because we used to use reviews to think for ourselves, and as a society we could really think for ourselves. But now when we read a review, we're not like, oh, that was an interesting review, like when we see something get a 6.9 like Boomstick Gaming's of Anthem. You know, his review was actually kind of encouraging and made me feel confident in my pre-order purchase, because yeah, I actually pre-ordered that game. I still pre-order games for some fucking reason, even though it's pointless. The little incentives they get me. But, you know, I could hear that and feel confident in my purchase, but a lot of people would hear that review and then see the 6.9 and go, oh my god, I gotta figure out if I can cancel my pre-order, fuck me. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with us that we can't, number one, what the fuck is wrong with us? Was that proper English? Just checking. But why can't we just hear a review that's a little critical of something that we're gonna like? Admittedly, most of us are gonna have fun with Anthem. It might not be the greatest game of all time, like Destiny was not, but when I sat down and played Destiny, I really fucking enjoyed it for what it was. Maybe I have like a magic ability or gift, I don't know, but it seems like a lot of gamers just can't enjoy games anymore. They can't sit down and just love a game for what it is. They have to have it be something else, something more, you know, and I don't blame the critics for this, because when you are a gaming critic, you do have to look for every little fucking nook and cranny and problem you can find to lambast. But we as gamers do not have to become like, we should be the anti-critics who are defending games. We shouldn't be the people fucking piling on. Because we have to remember that when we say shit that are just our opinion, because anything about a game is just a subjective opinion. Everything I am saying you are welcome to disagree with, and please, by all means disagree. Just don't write down, I disagree. And, you know, if you do agree, that's awesome, but also don't write down, I agree with the majority of what you said. Some people do that, and I'm not saying names or pointing you out, really, but I'm just trying to say that think for yourself and point out what you agree with and why, or, you know, something like that. These are great critical thinking tasks that we can do that make us a little more intelligent, and I think that as a society we need to engage in that more, and we need to have critical thinking, and we need to be critics, but without being douchebags. We do not need to be the Dereks of the world. And I mean, Derek is just a douchebaggy name in general, but I'm talking about the classic Game Room Undertow Derek. If you need to figure out who he is, just do a little YouTube search. And he is a magantous douchebag. He rips in the games just because it gets him hits, essentially. And I used to work for CGR Undertow, and I, number one, could not stand the way that they said that we needed to do our reviews short and this and that. I hated that shit. But above all else, I hated that he got to review all the games I wanted to review just so he could rip on them to get more hits than my informative reviews were getting. So, I'll always hate gaming critics who are fucking like that, so do not be a Derek of this world. Be the guy who's going in there and who's going to talk about the game's letdowns, but also talk about the positive sides and what you think about the game without just going, the game fucking sucks, man, because all that makes you look like is a dick, and we don't learn anything from that. I mean, dicks are fun to play with, I guess, but not those kind of dicks, guys. Definitely not your little piddly-ass tiny dicks. Have a good one, peace out, and don't be a Derek.